Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of EuroStep, where you can find EuroLeague, Turkish Airlines EuroLeague hottest topics live on YouTube and on EuroLeague TV. Today with me, I have my co-host and resident expert, Dane Arlauckas. Thank you so much for another day with us.
Hello and hola, Sofia. Always a wonderful pleasure to be with you. And should we say guten tag to our next guest?
Exactly.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag to our amazing guest today. Thank you so much for joining us, Luke Sikma, player from Alba Berlin.
Guten Tag, buenas tardes. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
We are speaking a lot of languages today, but the common one will be the basketball language. We're going to be talking about what happened last week in the playoffs and our predictions for this week's games. Also, we have a very special discount to offer to you tonight with the code WATALON10. Write down WATALON10. You can enjoy a 10% off on a monthly or annual pass for EuroLeague TV, excluding Italy or Spain. So the earlier that you start using it, the sooner that you can start enjoying all the things and all the advantages that EuroLeague has to offer you. We have someone already saying something in YouTube, Bond, saying, Luke Sikma is here, exciting. We're also very excited to have you here. And that was what I was going to say next. Everyone from YouTube and EuroLeague TV, hello. Please send us your comments, send us your love, your questions or your predictions, because we're going to be reading the best of them out. Before we jump into what happened last week on EuroLeague on the playoff series and what's going to happen this week, we have to talk about our amazing guest and his career. This season, Alba Berlin ended with the best results in the standings since they came back to EuroLeague. Look, I want to know, how has it been for you to be part of this team? What has it meant for you?
Yeah, it's been incredible. It was an incredible EuroLeague season for us. This is our third year in the EuroLeague now, and to see us kind of grow each year to the point where, at the end of this season, we had a chance to make the playoffs, and we're fighting till the end. So, it was a great year, great success for the club, another great year to build on, and especially considering, all the things that, we had to go through this year, whether it be injuries or, COVID, COVID break. I was really, really proud of how the guys fought and competed in every game. And, that's all you can really ask for of your team is to, give their fullest every game. And I thought we did that. And I think the results show that.
Well, Luke, it seems like every year you guys are taking another step towards the right direction there in Berlin. And you had a first-year coach in Israel Gonzalez. What was that like being under him and the direction you see him taking this team?
It was great. I thought Israel's done a great job, especially considering the big shoes he had to fill with, Aito stepping away after last season. And I think he's done an incredible job. We do a lot of the same stuff we did under Aito, and that's natural because Israel was working under Aito for a long time and with us the last 5 years, and we were able to compete on a more consistent basis, especially in the EuroLeague, which is not an easy thing to do, especially considering how young we were, some guys that were new to the EuroLeague. But he made it clear to us every game that the biggest thing is that we play with our full effort and just really compete. And I thought we did that, and I think that's why our results improved this past season, and that's going to be the goal moving forward, to hopefully go to that next step.
And look, speaking of goals, I want some inside information about what is the goal of for Alba Berlin next year in EuroLeague.
Yeah, I know a lot can happen in between now and then, but as a competitor playing in the highest stage of European basketball is we want a chance to be in the EuroLeague playoffs. It's obviously a really tall order, but we're a competitive group, and we want to do as good as we possibly can. And I think it's only natural that next step is to make it into the EuroLeague playoffs. Again, there's a lot that can happen. You got to give you a little bit lucky, whether it's injuries or what have you. But I think it's important to set some high goals, and I think that's a great goal for us to have.
Exactly. And speaking of the playoffs, we already have half of the teams qualified for the Final Four. We have Real Madrid made it with 3 games to Belgrade. We also have Anadolu Efes 3 games to 1 that is going book their ticket to Belgrade as well. And we also have 2 more games to 4 teams that went to Game 5. We're talking about Barcelona and Bayern, the Munich, and Olympiacos and AS Monaco, which will happen tomorrow, whereas Barcelona's game will be happening tonight. But before we jump into the games that we have ahead, I want to look back and go and talk about the highlights that happened last week in the playoff series, because Real Madrid kept their home court advantage and they only needed 1 more game to make it to the Final Four, which is what they did in a fully booked, in a sold-out Tel Aviv. They won 76-87. Some people are talking about them as one of the big favorites to make it to the finals. Dane, and then Luke, I want to know your opinion. What do you think about this?
Well, if I think they're the favorites to win it all, no. I don't think so. And this is a team that I've been very close to all year, kind of reporting on them, stuff like that. But if you ask me who's the best team in form, who's in the best form right now, I would have to say Real Madrid. And this is quite a shock after the last 2 months of the season that they had in the regular season to come into the playoffs. But I don't think anybody really expected Real Madrid to sweep Maccabi, especially with the way Maccabi was playing. It seems like they were intersecting. One was going down, Maccabi was going up, and it just speaks to the class and the legacy that this club has. Real Madrid is always expected to be in the playoffs, and they don't just expect to be in the playoffs. They expect to go to the Final Four and be competing for a title every year. So you ask me if they're the favorites, I don't know. I don't think so. I still think you look at Barcelona. Of course, Barcelona, we'll talk about that later, have to get through their own problems and have to get through their own series. But this is a big thing for Real Madrid because it allows them the time to rest, to focus, to game plan on whoever it is they might face in the Final Four. And if it happens to be Barcelona, well, they'll need all the rest and all the game time preparation that they can get because they have struggled mightily against Barcelona. But for me, Game 3 was incredible. Game 3 was probably the best that I've seen Real Madrid play since the very early part of the season. Game 1 and 2 in Madrid, they handled their business. Of course, they did so well. They gave 80 minutes of complete basketball, which is what Coach Lasso was talking about, that we've gone over that time and time again over the last couple of weeks. The consistency was the main thing that Real Madrid needed. And they got that not only in Games 1 and 2, but in Games 3 as well. And you look at who's stepping up, and it's the usual cast of characters, isn't it? It's Sergio Llull, it's Rudy Fernandez, it's Fabian Coser, guys who have been there and they've done it and they've won before. And then when you got guys like Vincent Poirier and Nigel Williams-Goss stepping up to the plate in these big-time moments, well, then that's really going to make it a tough task for any team to bounce them out of the Final Four. But I don't know, Luke, how you see it. You know this team well from your time in Spain. You know them well from playing them in EuroLeague over the last couple of seasons. What are you thinking about Madrid right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think they surprised a lot of people. Like you said, it looked like Maccabi was on the rise and Madrid was on the downfall. But never heart a doubt of a champion, or never doubt the heart of a champion. Those guys in that locker room have been there before, been in huge moments. Won EuroLeagues, and they showed that. I think obviously protecting home court is huge, especially in a EuroLeague playoff game, as we've seen in these other semifinals, where if you're splitting at home, that leaves you in a really tough position heading to the opponent's court, and they're able to save their home court, and then to close it out in a packed arena in Maccabi in a really rough environment. I think that really sends a signal to the rest of the playoff teams that they're back. You saw the usual suspects. Sergio Llull making a couple mandarinas, and Fabian Coser, who has talk about a sense for the playoffs and the Final Four. That guy seems to come alive, and so I think it really sends a signal to the other teams and shows that hey, we haven't gone anywhere. We had a little rough patch, but we're here to stay, and they're as dangerous as any team heading into the Final Four.
We'll see what happens with them in Belgrade, because right now they have 2 weeks to rest before the big final, the big competition. You mentioned earlier Nigel Williams-Goss, and he was on the news last week because of this moving tweet that he posted. He said, 2018 was my rookie year. I watched Real Madrid Baloncesto win the EuroLeague title in Belgrade. I was amazed at the level and atmosphere. Fast forward to now, I'm heading back to Belgrade for the Final Four with Real Madrid. God is amazing. Congrats to my teammates, coaches, and fans. This is beyond special. Dane, I want to know, what does it mean for the players of Real Madrid to go back to a Final Four, and especially in Belgrade, which is where they won their last EuroLeague title?
Yeah, they've certainly got special memories of Belgrade and that Final Four, but they're looking to create new ones. And of course, for Nigel Williams-Goss, I did a few of his games his rookie year, and you could see that quality, that talent he had. You could see him maybe getting to a Final Four, and here he is, a few years later with Real Madrid, and stepping up in this situation where he had a chance to take the spotlight and run with it, and he's done it so well in this playoff series. And doing very, very well right now. But guys like Rudy, guys like Jewel, guys like Fab, they're going to tell them, hey, the job ain't done just yet. Be happy with where we are, but know that the celebration doesn't start until we're lifting the trophy on that weekend in Belgrade.
Yeah, now we are going to talk about the other team that booked their ticket to the Final Four. I'm talking about the current EuroLeague champions, Anadolu Efes, who stole one game in Milan, and they only needed 2 games to make it to Belgrade to the Final Four, and that's what happened. They delighted their home crowd, which, by the way, it was fully packed, it was sold out, and they won first game 77-65 and the second game 70-75. Dane and Luke, I want to ask you, how important was this home crowd for them for these wins?
Well, I hope the Efes fans don't get mad at me, but home court wasn't important here. And I mean that with all due respect. I love the Efes fans. I think they're some of the best in the league. But I think really what mattered in this series was Efes being the better team and having that class, that experience to get through those tough moments of a playoff series. And really, obviously, you come into the series where I think this was one of the most even series. I couldn't pick a favorite in this series, but then Milano had those problems of injuries, and really the wear and tear of a season taking its toll. And really, that's when Efes kind of showed their class, took control of the series. And those 2 games at home, they knew they needed to win because they didn't want to go back to a Game 5 in Milano with a team getting stronger, Milano coming back together from those injuries. And they even kept it close. Luke, I don't know. It was a tight series the whole way, even with those injuries that Milano suffered.
Yeah, obviously really, unfortunate Milano suffering those injuries like they did at that time. 2 really, really good teams that, I'm sure it would have been maybe a little bit closer series, but, hats off to Milan that in the face of adversity still competed to the very end. But Dane, like you said, you just saw the class of Efes. They have so many good players, such a deep roster, and they have the advantage of they were there last year. They're the defending EuroLeague champions, and they're out to prove that they can win it again. They started a little slow, but are as good as any team in the EuroLeague right now, and really hitting their good moments. And with Misic and Larkin playing well, they're so tough to stop. Talk about just like a 2-headed snake that you try and stop one and the other goes off. So hats off to them, and they're as hot as any team heading into the Final Four.
Well, yeah, you talked about them being in the Final Four, winning it last year. One person who's not going to let you forget who they were there last year was Ercan Ataman, who in this clip after the game reminded you where they're coming from and where he thinks they're going to be at the end of this season.
I'm so happy for my team, for my players, because this team deserves to come back in Final Four. 2 more games for the title. I told last week that we will win again, we will make back-to-back. Now everybody will see that we will be in the Final Four and we will win again.
Being on the sideline or in the locker rooms, talking to the coaches, you usually wish for coaches to be this honest, but I don't know, Luke, as a player, how does this feel? Have you ever had a coach like that who has been so confident and saying those things, wearing his heart on his sleeve like that?
I have not. I've not had a coach that have said things like that in the press yet. But the beauty of Coach Ataman is what you hear is what he's thinking. He's not afraid to say how he feels, and he obviously believes that they're going to be the European champions again, and for good reason. They're playing as well as anyone right now. As a player, again, I haven't been in that position, so I don't know how they take it in the locker room. But at this point, I'm sure that they know how to handle it. It's not to say those guys didn't need any more motivation. That they're as hungry as ever to win back-to-back titles, and they'll be ready to go. So I can't speak really on how they're feeling after what Coach said, but they'll be competing for that title regardless.
Well, Sofia, we're just going to get to you real quick, but I want to go through some comments because we've got a big Efes fan reminding us of Kilicic, telling us that Efes had a lot of injuries in this series too. But he's all hail Sir Egman Ataman. So, Sofia, I don't know. Do you think they can do it again back to back?
Well, I think that if one team can do it back-to-back, it's definitely Efes. We saw how irregular they began this season and how they managed to beat a team that was in the top four, in the top 4 places of the standings. They made it. I think that it's not a matter of a wounded Milan, because I think that if it would have been another team, they would have beaten it anyway. It would have made it to the Final Four. So I think they have a strong chance to make it to the final. And from there, anything can happen, because last year the big favorite was Barcelona, and we saw how Efes won the last game. So I think they have great players. They have the motivation that they need, which is that coach. Definitely not like Messina last week, being a little bit pessimistic with the games in Istanbul. I think the fans will definitely travel to Belgrade, and that will be a huge extra push for them, for Efes. But let's see what happens if we can witness a back-to-back title. Both teams, Real Madrid and Efes, have to rest these 2 weeks and are already thinking, they have their eyes set on this EuroLeague title.
It's our time to go claim what we've been chasing and win a championship.
You're working for times like this.
This really is fairy tale stuff. Anadolu Efes Istanbul fulfilled their championship destiny.
The 2 remaining spots for the Final Four will be filled this week as both of the remaining series go to a Game 5. Tonight, it's Barcelona's and Bayern Munich's turn. We saw Game 3 how Barcelona stole a game from Bayern 76-75, and how dangerous, how important Nikola Mirotic was for this game, scoring 25 points and getting a 31 PIR. How dangerous and how important will he be for this Game 5, Dane, and then Luke?
Well, he's going to have to be key. I mean, he is the MVP for me of the league, and he's been the MVP of Barcelona, the man that they brought in to get them to this point. MVPs have to win big games like this. This is why they become MVPs. You don't win the award for beating Panathinaikos at your home court in round 12. You win for being present and dominating in games like this. And, it has to be said. I hate saying this because I like Nikola. I think he's a great guy and an even better player. But he's been questioned about his big game ability and how he performs in the spotlight games. And this is going to be another one of those where he has a chance to do 2 things. He has a chance to shut people up and say, hey, listen, I took this team on my back. I got us to where we are at this point, and I'm driving us into the Final Four and beyond. But if he doesn't, we're talking about some heavy criticism and maybe the biggest flop in the EuroLeague history, with the top seed losing to an 8 seed, with the MVP not showing up. This would be a disaster, not just for Barcelona, but personally for Nikola Mirotic. And Bayern, I'm sure right now, Luke, as you probably know, Bayern are getting all the eggs in the basket and getting this thing ready to stop him. So how do they do it in Game 5?
Yeah, I mean, stopping Niko Mirotic is, I guess the best thing is just to pray. I mean, the guy's so skilled. He can score from all over the floor in so many different ways. And, you know, I think, like you said, I think he wants to shut some people up. And I think he's going to come out and be ready to go and be aggressive from the start. You know, he's a tough guy to stop. And Barcelona's obviously got other weapons as well. And with Brandon Davies, Dante Exum playing so well, La Provitola. So, you know, it would help if Mirotic comes out and has an MVP caliber game. But don't doubt Bayern, man. They've been counted out for a while, and they're still around, hanging around, scrapping it out. You know, after game 1, Darren Hilliard gets hurt, and they come back and win game 2. And you know, they're and I know well. I play them 8-9 times a year. They're as competitive as anyone, and they have a way to stay in games till the very end. And they got some guys that make some huge plays. Vladimir Lucic is about as good a player as you can find in Europe, and having a couple incredible seasons. And you know, if he's got the ball in his hands at the end of the game, he's going to make something happen. So really, really dangerous. I think they feel like they're playing with house money right now. The 8th seed, you know, taking it to Game 5, as Coach Trinchieri said, they're in the mouth of the shark, and I think they kind of feed off of that. You know, they like silencing the hostile crowds, and it's going to be a great game to watch as a spectator. It's going to be a lot of, you know, chess match moves between two tacticians like Saras and Trinchieri, but it's also going to be, you know, a kind of straight out brawl street fight. Two really physical teams that's, you know, had some low scoring games. So it'll be really fun to watch. Classic playoff basketball, and it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Sofia Ovgu Kilic said, player-wise in the YouTube comment section, player-wise, Barcelona has the upper hand, but coach-wise, Trinchieri, he's had it. He's had the upper hand in this series. What do you think? I want your prediction, and then we'll go to Luke.
I think it's going to be a tight game. I think that Bayern kind of got impossible in this playoff. We all thought that Barcelona were the big favorites, that they were going to get it by game 3, and we're in a game 5. Not only losing in Munich, but also losing in Palau Blaugrana, which means the second lost this season for Barcelona. So I think that the Germans should be very happy with their performance in the playoffs. We were talking earlier about Nikola Mirotic and how dangerous he was in game 5, but also he was kind of missing in game 4. I'm really excited to see what happens tonight. I'm really excited to see if Bayern de Munich makes it for the first time to the Final Four. But I have to go with my brain, have to be rational, and I think that who will end up taking this game and making to the Final Four is Barcelona, or otherwise, then, like you said, it will be one of the biggest flops in history for the club. And again, Mirotic, what about you, Luke? Who do you think will advance to the Final Four?
Yeah, I mean, I think the brain tells you Barcelona, right? They've been the top dog all season, and you know, have one of the best players in the league in Mirotic. But I'm going to hold it down for German basketball, and I'm going to say Bayern pulls it out. Maybe a little bit of a hot take, but I'm sure we love hot takes here. So yeah, I'm going to say they pull it out. They're super competitive. They'll be well prepared, and they got something to prove. And I think a win for them, getting to the Final Four, would be huge. You know, not only for their club but for German basketball, and really say that, you know, they've arrived on the big stage. So I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say Bayern pulls it out.
Yeah, you know, Luke, I think that they've made quite the statement saying that, you know, we are here to stay. Bayern taking it to 5 games last year against Milano, and then 5 games against the favorites in Barcelona. And they've showed a lot of flaws in the Barcelona system right now. And one of them during this playoff series has been a very fundamental problem. They just can't score. And this is for a team that was really the top dog all season long in terms of offensive consistency, with so many weapons, with so much depth, and the MVP favorite in Mirotic, but they're scoring under 70 points a game, and that's not going to win them any titles anytime soon. So, you know, they're setting records that a team that's looking for a EuroLeague title shouldn't be setting. Lowest scoring game in EuroLeague history. Last game in Game 4 against Bayern Munich, they got crushed by Maccabi at the end of the season. They gave up the most points in Palau Blaugrana history in the EuroLeague. So really, this is a team that's struggling right now, but this is a one-off game, and I think in a one-off game, you go with Barcelona against really anybody in the continent. So Barcelona's my pick. Luke, I love the confidence, though. I love the home country pick of Bayern Munich, even though I think you might just want them tied for the domestic league playoffs.
That may have factored in a little bit.
We have this YouTube comment from OC Eduardo saying good luck for all the teams. That's the most important part. In the final spot for the Final Four will be filled on Wednesday in this game between Olympiacos and AS Monaco. Olympiacos to Game 3 with a win 83-87. And I want to know, guys, do you think they have Final Four potential? First, Dane, and then Luke.
Well, in that Game 3, we saw the best and the worst of Olympiacos. I mean, going into that stadium in Monaco was always going to be a tough task because emotions, excitement, they had to be boiling in the Salle Gaston Médecin. Excuse me, my French isn't as on par as it should. But, they came out in that first half, that first quarter, really absorbed the blow that Monaco gave, that first punch where they came out strong, fed off the energy of the crowd. But really, they let Slukas and Vezenkov take control in the second and third quarter, and that's what they need. I mean, Vezenkov, one of the late season MVP candidates, might fall just short depending on Mirotic and the votes he gets. But Slukas is the guy that's going to carry this team, and that's who they need to kind of lead them in these tough situations in playoff basketball, in the Final Four if they get there. I mean, this is the guy who has been there before, and he knows how to handle these circumstances. But really, what worried me about Olympiacos in that Game 3 was their ability to fend off that energy, that first hot start from Monaco. But then they almost let the game slip through their hands in the fourth quarter. And I know it's a playoff basketball game on the road, but up 13 in the fourth quarter with a chance to take control of the series, they let that slip. And Luke, I don't know about you, but we saw just how tough it is to win on the road in EuroLeague.
Yeah, I mean, really tough. Any team that didn't protect home court, it ended up, going to a long series. I think Olympiacos, when they're really, humming, it's, beautiful to watch and so tough to stop. They have so many weapons. Obviously a leader like Kostas Slukas, but, Vesenkov's had as good a year as anybody in the EuroLeague. And, Tyler Dorsey can get hot and really get going. And Big Fall in the middle. There we go. He's, he's such a load and they feed him early and often. And you have to react to that. So it should be an incredible Game 5, obviously. There in Athens, it's going to be a packed house, crazy environment. Those Olympiacos fans are hungry for another Final Four, and so it should be a really close game. But Monaco always has the Mike James factor, and Mike is liable as anybody to go off for 50, and that can completely change a game. So it'll be another great series. As a spectator, a great game to watch. But I just think Olympiacos has too many weapons.
Yeah, Game 4, it came down to the wire in Monaco. Lucas could have ended it right then and there, not had to worry about a Game 5. But we're back to Athens, and Mike James had this tweet to comment on. He doesn't comment too much on the playoff series, but here he is. I can't lie, I haven't tweeted about this series, and I won't again until afterwards. But I will say it's only right that we go to 5 games because this is two good teams fighting it out. Well, do you think this is the most even matchup we've seen, Sofia, throughout this playoff series?
100%. I think it's been the one of the tightest, one of the most even matchups for these playoff series. We also have Bayern Munich and Barcelona that has been struggle a little bit. We were not definitely expecting that, so it has turned out this of one of the tightest ones. I think we talk about how important Mike James is for as Monaco, and how Olympiacos was kind of different to them, having more players, more key players like Besenkov, like Fall, or Costas Lucas. And even with all of that, we still have seen very tight games, because I think like Monaco won by 1 point and Olympiacos won game 3 by 4 points only. So anything can happen in game 5. I think that as Monaco has to be very proud also on how far they've got in these playoffs, because it's actually the first time that they make it to the playoffs. Again, anything can happen in game 5, but I think that ultimately, and these are my predictions, so I want to know, guys, your predictions after. I think that ultimately Olympiacos is the one that is gonna take the final spot in the final 4. I think that the home crowd will play a huge part in this final game in the Peace and Friendship Stadium. I think the fans will go. All the Greek fans are gonna be very happy to be back in Belgrade, since I think last time they were in the playoffs was 2018. So it's been a long time. They are motivated. They want to go, and for me, it's Olympiacos who makes it. What about you guys?
Well, I think so, Luke. We're gonna finish. We're gonna save the best for last here, and I'm gonna tell you my pick, and then I'll let you take it home. But yeah, I think Olympiacos is the stronger team, the more deep team, the more experienced team, and the team with the legacy to kind of get them through these game 5s. They want to get back to the final 4, and the fans are going to be the driving factor towards them getting back to where they need to be. Selfishly, I want Olympiacos to win because I want to see them in Belgrade. We'll be in Belgrade, Sofia, and the last time I saw them in a Final 4, which was back when the Final 4 was here in Madrid, it was crazy. I mean, they just bring so much passion, so much energy, and so I think in the Peace and Friendship Stadium, Olympiacos doesn't let their fans down. And speaking of places to play around the EuroLeague, Luke, we'll get to your prediction, but we got a question from Daniel McKinley. He says, "What's the toughest arena to play in all of the EuroLeague?"
Man, it's a great question, but it's a dangerous question, because no matter what I say, there's going to be some fan group that's gonna kill me for not saying.
That'll let you have it even more next time.
Yeah,
we won't tell anyone.
So yeah, I think obviously playing in Panathinaikos, that crowd is as good as any. I mean, you go to Athens, the 2 trips to Athens, you're in for a great environment, whether it's there or playing against Olympiacos. In Zalgiris, it's such a unique atmosphere, such a basketball, crazy country. They love to, support Zalgiris, and it's always a great atmosphere. Maccabi obviously is, it's always a packed house and a hostile crowd. Man, I know I'm going to forget one, but those are the ones that really jump to mind. When you think, you're walking into that gym and it's going to be loud in there, and you're not going to know what the play is sometimes. And, as a competitor, it's the moments you really, you play the game for, and, the great reason to play in, EuroLeague basketball.
After having said that, Luke, I mean, you gave it up for the Athens fans. Are they going to be the ones who win this game for Olympiacos? Or you got Monaco stunning the Greeks in Game 5?
Barring a Mike James 50-point, 50-piece McNugget, I'm gonna go with Olympiacos. Again, they've been so consistent all year long, have so many weapons. And to have a guy that, if it comes down tight at the end of the game, guy you want the ball in his hands, that guy's Costas Lucas. As clutch a guy as you can have in this league, and guy who's been there and knows the moment and not afraid of it. So I'm gonna go with the rest of you guys and go ahead and go with Olympiacos.
Good choice. Good choice. See, you're in the host. Last YouTube comment of the day, we have a comment from Southern Skeptic saying, I want Olympiacos to win as an FS fan. Monaco is extremely dangerous team. Player quality-wise, they are much better than Olympiacos. I guess that he doesn't want Monaco to face FS in the semifinals of the Final Four, so maybe that's why he wants Olympiacos to win. But don't underestimate the Greeks because they always come out hard. Thank you so much, Luke, for joining us today, for sharing your experience and your opinions on what's going on with the playoffs and what's going to happen in the Final Four. We cannot wait to see you next year with Alba Berlin performing great in EuroLeague.
Thank you, guys. It's great to be on. Had a blast, and can't wait to see you guys soon.
Yes, we hope to see you again soon. This is your house. You can come back whenever you want. Dane, thank you so much for another day, for another episode of EuroStep. We'll be back next Tuesday, 5:30 Central East Time, talking about which two teams complete the Final Four spots and what can we expect in Belgrade. For more EuroStep episodes on demand, you can find them on YouTube and on EuroLeague TV. For more EuroLeague content, don't forget that you can check out social media, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram, whatever works best for you. And don't forget that we have the very special discount, EuroLeague discount, to offer to you tonight. With the code WATCHALONG10, you can enjoy a 10% off on a monthly or annual pass on EuroLeague TV, excluding Italy or Spain. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for sending your comments, for sending your predictions, and for sending your support to the team that you love on EuroLeague. We hope to see you next Tuesday, 5:30. Have a great week.